G'day everyone, Goober here with my video about the Season SS8 reveal and patch notes. I'll probably cover off on both unless I go through this one too much. Hopefully you can't really hear the kids in the background, but I'm here solo, so I have to deal with that as well. So let's go over to the video. I have put a comment on the official video if you want to skip to the time marks that you can see there. Feel free to use those until they are hopefully updated into the official video. So I won't go through the whole thing. I'll watch the intro, then I'll skip to the points where I want to talk about. And if you want to watch the entire thing, you can go over and check out that video. Just be warned, the sound is a little bit stuffed, but we'll see how we go.
Welcome everyone to the Torchlight Infinite Sandlord Season Preview. I'm Andre, your community manager. The Arcana season brought some big shifts to the game. For the upcoming Sandlord season, we're building on that foundation without reinventing the wheel. We're mostly focused on improving some core in-game systems and adding significant new layers for build customization and gameplay variety. Plus, all of this is launching with our second year anniversary, so you can expect some very special events. Now, without further ado, let's get started. First up, the new seasonal mechanic. This season brings the Cloud Oasis, a floating island key to the Sandlord seasonal mechanic. Think of it as a management layer woven into your usual grind. You'll need funds. The main seasonal currency is floating island coins, earned by killing mobs out in the Netherrealm.
And you'll notice that you don't actually have to click on the gold on the ground, unlike that other game that did, this mechanic, Settlers.
You'll also run into sand pirates across the maps. Killing them gets you supplies for the Oasis. And yeah, some of those pirates might get repurposed into your workforce for the Cloud Oasis. We've set up 5 professionals.
It's not mentioned there, but in those little encounters that you just saw, that's where you'll have these guys drop. It'll look like it'll be a looted item, and they'll just appear in your idle management system in the Oasis.
For these laborers: miner, crystal worker, chef, aviator, and mercenary. Assign them based on their skills to get your Oasis running. Keep an eye out for laborers with specific affixes. These modifiers can boost efficiency, cut costs, whatever. Min-maxing this system is key to optimizing your returns. Resources are key. The Oasis mine produces ingots and
So a key thing that you can see here is there was a level 4 one in there, level 8 as well, so it must just be drop rarity that the workers can drop, and there is a way of removing them so you don't just get cluttered with level 1s. You can remove them and replace them with level 8 or whatever, and hopefully there's a way, if it's a drop, to filter the bad ones so you don't actually pick them up at all. They can just stay on the ground, but we'll have to wait and see.
Magic crystals automatically once you assign miners and crystal workers.
Also, these amounts per hour probably inflated by the down the bottom here. It says that this is PTR, so just be aware that these numbers are probably highly inflated.
These are used for Oasis upgrades or shipped out as straight goods. Set it up and the resources trickle in. Food production happens at the logistics scroll. Assign chefs and they turn ingredients into food, which are also trade commodities. You need ingredients for that. And while we could have implemented a harvesting system, realistically just killing sand pirates in the Netherrealm was the best implementation to drop ingredient packs.
More maps.
We didn't want to break the gameplay loop. Once you've got goods piled up, load the airship, assign aviators, and they'll run trade routes to other floating islands.
You notice that some islands are level 1, some islands are level 8. So as you go and do these areas, they must level up.
Fulfill specific orders for guaranteed rewards. You can also overstock the shipment.
That is insane. Imagine if you got that or something similar to that in the campaign on a belt. If you've got a hero trait for your class on a belt, just as a drop, that would be quite nuts.
For a shot and extra random loot. Could be gear.
+1 max spell burst on a spell burst tune as you're going through the story. Pretty strong.
Fluorescent memory, or even crucial aromatic materials used for the new blending system's recipes.
Which is nuts.
But we'll get to blending shortly. So basically, trading is your passive income stream. If you want something more active, assemble a mercenary squad, give them gliders, and send them on raids to hit sand pirate statues. This earns loot without spending your Oasis resources. Heads up though, raids can trigger risk events requiring your intervention, or uncover hidden treasures you need to go grab. As you upgrade the Cloud Oasis, buildings, better laborers, efficiency boosts, you'll expand your trade and raid reach. The goal? Get to a point where the Oasis generates significant income automatically while you're out doing your main Netherrealm farming.
Alrighty, this is the new class trailer. There is another video on this. I've already covered it, so I'm going to skip this and go straight to the blending mechanic.
You add powerful affixes to belts. You get blending recipes and precious aromatic materials from the Sandlord's seasonal mechanic. The kicker, you can add medium talents, core talents, and even specific hero trait points directly to any belt via blending affixes. Think about it, Anger Rayhan could potentially add a split form trait point from Seething Silhouette onto their belt. This lets you stack resistance for huge life scaling via his imbue. That opens up the game for different build angles, like blood consumption builds that need.
Notice that it says this blending affix only takes effect when equipped by a hero with Berserker, Rayhan, Seething Silhouette, so you can't steal traits from other classes and throw them on yours. That would be kind of insane. That's probably just related to the hero traits, because the talents and stuff, anyone can have any talent. So
Massive life pools for life imbue. One obvious restriction, you can only use trait points from your own hero, no poaching allowed. Beyond standard talents and traits, there are also aromatic talents, unique build-defining aromatic affixes. For example, Comradeship lets your minions inherit your belt stats.
hell yeah. That'd be insane.
Slap that on an Eternity belt, and suddenly, your whole minion army gets that powerful effect. You'll need to hunt down the recipes for these.
You know what's really, really nice about that? This. So most of Boom Moto's damage comes from minion max life. Get a belt with an absolute ton of max life on there. Get Comradeship and boost the absolute shite out of your minions' damage.
Throughout the seasonal mechanic, there's over 100 blending recipes to find through the Sandlord seasonal mechanic. This system should offer significant power boosts early on into the game and massively increase late
What's that one?
game build diversity. Finally, a quick note from the development team. We know that adding a lot of systems like this with each season increases the learning curve for players. So now we're basically monitoring how everything is interacting, how each different mechanic is playing with each other, and whether the learning curve for players is too large. If we find that to be so, we may consider rotating in and out different seasonal mechanics or game mechanics in upcoming seasons.
That'd be pretty interesting. Obviously, there's a new season every 3 months. You don't want a game with 20 different mechanics. But then, I guess if they rotate out something like Cube, they're going to have to include the slates as a drop somewhere else. So maybe that's not one that they can remove. Which one could they remove? I guess they could remove stuff like Dark Surge or the non-build defining ones, but I guess you can't really remove Cube. You can't really remove Black Sail. Tarots are pretty core now with Kismets. So it'd have to be the extra ones like Goddess Machines, Goddess of the Hunt, and those ones that they would remove. I don't think you could remove any of the core build defining ones.
You know, mostly to avoid player burnout. Next up, exclusive support skills. This season has a ton of brand new exclusive support skills, bringing the in-game total to over 80. The aim is for almost every core active skill in the game to have dedicated supports. Also, any future skills will launch with theirs too. Let's take a quick look at a few of the new ones. For Sparkle, equipping the support skill Magnetic Field adds chain lightning that pulls enemies towards the projectile.
Pretty cool that it pulls it towards
Mark
the
Rain of Arrows gets Hyper Blast.
You could almost set that up with a auto bomber, so you're just running through, everything's getting pulled towards you, and smash them that way.
If you have Fixate up, a critical strike applies a mark. It detonates after a delay, dealing percentage life damage based on the skill's total damage during that cast. Big delay burst potential on crits. Hunting Abomination is back and reworked. Its Hunting Terror now deals on-hit damage and expands. Beam, this support
If you want to check out all the exclusive supports, go check it out in the video.
generates an additional beam firing in the exact opposite direction.
You have to remove
Next
or lower
up,
the
Legendaries. We've seen the feedback about the difficulty jump around Time Arc 8. It can feel like a wall where progression stalls before you're ready for a profound Time Arcade. To smooth this out, we're adding new Legendary gear, some potentially tagged as matchless, specifically tuned for this part of the game.
So those items look pretty good. If you want a complete breakdown, you'll have to look at the patch notes. There is 10 or so new Legendaries that sound pretty interesting. They've got reduced stats, but they have a core affix that would enable your gameplay. I won't go through them now. Kismets, there's new Kismets and stuff as well that you can apply. I dare say they'll bring in new Kismets every season.
Interactions to maximize your setup.
The editing of the music in this video is atrocious.
Next up, balance changes and core mechanics. First, let's go over hero balancing. We went over player feedback and we decided to address some traits that felt weaker in early and mid game. So let's take a quick look at some of the key changes coming this season. First, Rosa's trait High Core Chariot sees adjustments. Her early and mid-game trait nodes have been strengthened for a smoother start. We've also
now, I'm a Boom player, so I don't know anything about Thea
at level 60.
Chariot, so you can check that
level
out.
75 damage, giving Yoga more viable setups. Next up, Commander Model. We know players want self-destruct minion builds, but they often rely heavily on activation mediums. To help, we adjusted the level
Not sometimes, it's core.
75 node Fuel War with War.
So the level 75 node gives you a free perpetual motion, basically. So every 0.2 seconds, triggers on the closest enemy within 20 meters. You do have less movement speed, but by then you should be blinking around a bit and looking at that. That's at level 1 and it goes less and less from there. So that's crazy. If you can get that to level 5, it's probably 0.1 or something. If it's 0.2 per, that would be actually quite insane. I was comparing that to the other one, but unless you can get maybe with the belt, or would you choose between stat buffing or 2 of these on the belt? I'm not sure, but it's very interesting. And the change to the base talent is also very, very nice in the patch notes.
To auto-trigger your main skill periodically. Better gameplay feel, less reliance on activation mediums, offering a new way to manage medium detonation that balances power with convenience. Of course, this is just a sample of what's coming. Many other hero traits are getting adjusted, whether those are minor tweaks or maybe some even more major adjustments. These are all going to be finalized and public in the upcoming Blue Bible, our patch notes, so please stay tuned for that. We're also making some additional changes, which are mostly focused on, improving how combat feels, the core.
So there's more supports to benefit manually casting your abilities versus activation mediums. A lot of the activation mediums were nerfed, the ones that say triggered automatically on enemies in 20 meters plus 40% additional damage may now be still activate within the 20 meters. However, the plus 40% additional damage will be reduced. Is basically what that's going over. Let's quickly have a look at the Erosion revamp.
And Hammer of Ash still struggle due to their core design. This season we've buffed their base damage to make them more viable options if you like that kind of playstyle.
Come on,
Next up, Erosion 2.0. Something that many of you have asked about is new mechanics for erosion damage. In previous seasons, builds focusing on erosion damage typically center around persistent or wilt effects, as direct erosion on hit damage often felt too weak. In the new season, we're introducing a core mechanic to bolster on-hit erosion, deterioration.
Looking at that item,
To bolster
this part here, deterioration no longer deals damage when it expires. Instead, it deals damage once every 0.33 seconds. Whenever damage is dealt with deterioration, while deterioration lasts, plus 60% additional damage dealt next time, up to 360% additional damage. Now, if you're unaware, additional damage is a multiplier, so that is enormous. So I dare say Ruinous Star is going to be obscenely expensive, especially at tier 0. Like, that's corroded. Doesn't show that it's corroded, but that's tier 0, not tier 1.
On-hit erosion, deterioration. Deterioration is a negative status applied by erosion on hit damage. It lasts for a set duration, and when it expires, it deals a percentage of the triggering hit's erosion damage as true damage. Naturally, we've added supporting skills, talents, and gear related to deterioration. For example, players can choose builds that shorten the deterioration duration for rapid
deterioration duration.
Multi-stage bursts of damage, or up
to
extend the duration, causing the true damage to trigger periodically throughout. For example, players can...
There's more on Erosion revamp there, but basically it's buffs to the on-hit effects of Erosion, which are pretty cool. Let's have a quick look at the very, very nice change of... That's a great place to pause it, but the new crafting.
Introducing the brand new gear imprint system. We all know the pain.
Brand new. It's effectively legendary crafting from a couple of seasons ago.
You craft amazing mods onto an item, but the base has bad implicit base affixes. Because that's what you could afford early on. And then what? Recrafting is insanely expensive. Gear imprint lets you fix this. How it works. You need your primary item with a good crafted mods but bad base, the so-called imprint material. You also need another item of the same exact base type that does have the desired base affixes, the imprint.
So basically you're just taking all of the good prefixes and suffixes and slapping it on this one. The previous one that you're ripping the mods off gets destroyed and you end up with this item.
Print target. Finally, you need an imprint crystal, which can be purchased.
And this is from the shop. It's not from the trade house, which is fantastic. So for 800 FE, if you had a max tier 1, couple of tier 0 item, then the cost of this is negligible versus getting a new item. It's fantastic.
From the trader. Using these, replace the base affixes of your imprint material item with the superior base affixes from the imprint target item. What does this mean in practice? This means players will no longer be punished for starting crafting on imperfect bases early on. and excellent base materials will always retain their high value.
So that would have been insane last season, because I crafted a very, 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 very nice wand. So the item that I crafted last season was an insane wand. However, the base affixes that I had on it weren't the best. So if I could have imprinted that onto another base with great base affixes, it would have been mirror quality. But unfortunately, this didn't exist last season.
Hopefully, crafting should feel a lot less stressful going forward. Now let's dive into some updates for the meta round. First up, secret rounds. Starting time mark 8.
This sounds pretty cool. So as you kill rare monsters in the maps, you may have an additional map appear in your selection. And you can go in there and it'll just be random events, which is cool.
Killing rare monsters has a low chance to spawn a portal. These are unique side areas with different mechanics and better rewards than standard maps. For example, Secret Realm Abyssal Vault is just full of loot chests, no mobs. The Secret Realm Sea of Rice has passive goblins
Kids drive me insane.
you kill for a chance to summon a boss. There's a total of 5 types of Secret Realms this season, and we're hoping that they can kind of break up the monotony of in-game grinding and add some random excitement to mapping. Now let's talk Deep Space. Deep Space is the only system
You mean T17 maps from PoE?
which is actually undergoing a larger overhaul this season. Forget the old regions and Plane Watchers. Now there are 5 dedicated Deep Space stages. These are larger, have way higher monster density, better drops, but are significantly harder. Real survival challenges. To align with a high investment, high reward philosophy for this challenging content, we've introduced
What's this card?
a new item type, usable only in Time Mark 8 maps and the new Deep Space stages. Probes. You can think of them as additional map juicing. Using a probe as targeted reward affixes like more ember drops, but also buffs monster life. High risk, high reward. Different probe types exist.
So different probes, more juice for your maps, which is fantastic. Let's skip forward to the Supreme Showdown rotation, which is about here.
The highest level skills still need to be obtained by players through their cores. First floors will rotate again this season. The 20th floor challenge will be replaced by a brand new ultra difficult encounter. Night Slayer, the Wilting Plume. Players will face a spectacular showdown beneath his wings and
Voidlands this season.
As for the ultimate test on the 21st floor, the Lord of the Void Sea returns with his imposing fleet. This season's Supreme Showdown also introduces a new mechanic, Golden Gaze. This effect will randomly appear in stages. Both players and bosses have a chance to be chosen by the Golden Gaze, temporarily gaining the ability to gild opponents. When possessing this power, the boss can gild you.
So the boss can stun you, so you can't avoid one-shot mechanics. That sounds shite. But it is what it is. Let's go forward to the training dummy update.
Quality of life updates with each season. Let's take a quick look at some of the major ones that we're bringing with Sandlord. Our training dummy, Invisible Number 2, has received some major system upgrades. When calculating DPS, it will now display the dynamic stat changes of the player in real time, providing more accurate and reliable data for refining your builds. The dummy also gains a practical utility function.
This is very
Players
cool.
can now toggle a visual overlay centered on the dummy to see the actual in-game range of effects tagged as nearby.
Now it's easier to display in a build guide what is nearby enemies, what is not nearby. The green circle is nearby enemies, which is really cool. Next up, we have the trade house optimizations.
These notifications ensure you stay informed without constant check.
So a new pop-up for stuff that's sold, or Glider 2 is returned, you can turn that off in the options.
Of course, players can block unwanted notifications. Players can now quickly fill in their desired listing price by simply clicking on a unit price shown in the price check results when listing stackable items. The quantity for sale now defaults to the maximum stack size you have in your inventory, making selling much faster. Additionally, when searching for Divinity Slates, players can now specify whether an affix must be placed in the last position, making it...
Hopefully this is included in the price check, because that is what you really need when you are having them drop. So some slates you might have +1 spell skill level and something garbage. And if you are using the Prairie slate to copy the last affix, you want the good one on the bottom. So that is the purpose of this. The next really good update is Ordrak.
And facing the Golden Calamity Ordrak, the boss will no longer be restricted by the in-game damage cap mechanic.
So the daily boss is not... you could use the daily boss as a damage... a DPS meter as well. So this is not capped like the rest of the game. So if you are looking for your ultimate end, end tier DPS, this is where you will get it from. Just smash an Ordrak as hard as you can.
This means players can freely test.
So you saw some 20 trillion hits there, which is pretty insane. Obviously these stats are massively boosted from the PTR. So just keep that in mind. But there may be some builds that actually hit for 20 trillion, so that will be pretty insane to see. Lastly, let's go over the anniversary events, and the potential to get real gold is pretty insane.
Some very exciting new events that we have coming your way. First, get ready for the Wasteland Gold Rush event. Players can earn Gold Rush attempts simply by progressing through the game. Use these attempts for a chance to win various valuable items from the event, including Jagged Primos, Battle Pack Spirit Crystals, and even the grand prize, a Torchlight commemorative gold note. And yeah, we do mean real gold, like real life gold.
I wonder if it's gold bar or that edible gold that you can put on stuff. Gold paper.
But the events don't stop there. Believe it or not, CLI is turning 2. And as a thank you to all of you for staying with us, we're also launching some very special celebration events.
Notice the legendary packed drop spirit selection, whatever. Says you can get Rose, Monument Knight, Shepherd, Mistville, Clockwork, or Snow Paint Owl. It doesn't mention... is Alice? No, Alice's Clockwork. That's Dark Surge, isn't it? Dark Surge, Eterna, Nightmare, Mistville, Clockwork, and Canvas. Doesn't mention last season. Hopefully it does. And doesn't mention the current upcoming season.
Players can claim a nice reward each day they log in during the event period. After checking in for all 7 days, you'll receive a legendary drop Pack Spirit selection pack, allowing you to choose any legendary Pack Spirit from the Frozen Canvas season or any previous season. We also have the Hope in the Sands active event. During this event, complete quests related to the Sandlord seasonal mechanic to earn points. Accumulate enough points to unlock generous rewards, including Battle Pack Spirit Crystals, a rare drop Pack Spirit, a rare Pack Spirit upgrade insignia, and exclusive...
Getting that for free is pretty cool.
...weapon appearance, and many more surprises. Check out the shop too for special anniversary exclusive...
If you swipe, now you can get a couple of guaranteed Pack Spirits. I dare say this one is the same as the free one that you just saw with Snow Paint Owl and previous, or a Battle Pack Spirit. I think someone said that that is basically $50 USD. So I guess this one, looking at that being about half, will be about $30 USD.
Exclusive packs. Now let's take a quick look at some of the cosmetics coming.
But if you're swiping, those are a fair bit cheaper than the normal way.
This season.
That cosmetic looks sick. I want Boom Moto to look like that. That's insane. Look at those weapons. Holy balls. Jiggle, jiggle.
Finally, this is.
Is it just me, or was this getting bigger and smaller? That looks insane.
Finally, this season's new pack spirits. The Moon Shadow Guide.
Really? Really, XD? I approve, but really?
Is this seasonal mechanics drop pack spirit. It will help with Cloud Oasis management. The portrait.
How uncomfortable would that be? Like, this can't be. This has to be sharp, doesn't it?
The Moon Shadow Guide is this seasonal mechanics drop pack spirit. It will help with Cloud Oasis management.
Jesus.
The Portrait of a Fallen Saintess is this season's battle pack spirit and is designed for synergy with Thea's new trait, Blasphemer. That was a lot. Let's have a quick recap. The new Sandlord seasonal mechanic, a new hero trait for Thea, the new blending system, new legendaries, the new gear imprint system, new explosive support skills, hero balancing changes, improvements to core gameplay mechanics, secret realms, adjustments to deep space, tons of quality of life, our second anniversary events, and so much more. Sandlord is right around the corner, coming April 17. Stay tuned for more news. That's all for today, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
I better show that. TL Gold 0418. That's just the release date. And TL Gold, this is a 300 Primo thing that you can claim in-game right now. I will quickly load up the patch notes. We'll look at the Boom Moto stuff, which gets me excited. And that'll probably do it for this video. So if you go to the official Discord, you can bring up the patch notes from there. And it goes through. It is about 800 lines long, so just keep that in mind if you want to check it out. This is the transitional gear that was mentioned before. As I said, it's got a couple of basic stats and then generally one good affix. As you go down, additional erosion area damage to elites, crit strike, that sort of stuff. There is some interesting synergies. This one might be good with the new hero, but you'll have to test it out and see for yourself. I didn't really see anything up there for Boom Moto. There is some insane new passive skills here. So this is the standard and then the precise version. However, this one, when activated, you and your allies within a certain area gain a buff, 35% additional minion damage and minion aggressiveness. Minion aggressiveness is the time that it takes your minion to go, oh, there's an enemy, I'm going to go attack it. So that's really good. And then the precise version gives 10% minion max life, which is crazy awesome for a precise version. Also gives you a little bit more damage and aggressiveness. Cruelty is insane as well if this aura effect affects all of your stuff. So it's up to 100% additional aura effect, which is crazy. Domain expansion. I feel like I'm watching anime right now, but I'm not. You and your allies gain, within a certain area, gain a area damage buff when at least 8 enemies are within 10 meters. I think nearby is 3 meters, so you can basically gauge that. It's still pretty close, but but if your skill area and stuff is boosting as well, that will influence that as well. New support skills for elemental ailments and wilt. They did change timid. So timid has been changed. So elemental destruction was renamed to timid. Now causes cursed enemies to take 35% additional hit damage. So if your spells, doesn't count. But elemental destruction is quite nice against all cursed enemies. I believe it used to be 35% additional erosion damage or something like that on hit. But now it's just that. So that's quite nice. There was a change to the movement skills. They had varying distances and cooldowns. Now they are all relatively similar, with the mobility distance of this skill increased from 6 to 7 meters. I believe centralized loading was from 4 to 7. So that got a pretty big buff there. And it's only got a 2-second cooldown, which is really nice for the gunslingers in the group. A slight change to precise elemental res. Now grants chance to avoid elemental ailments. Rock Magus, slight nerf there. From -9% to -8%. Additional hit damage taken, up to a maximum of -70%. This can be influenced through origin of the Spirit Magus effect and that sort of thing. So that is how you boost that to -70%, which is crazy. Hardened used to be a 50% chance to gain hardened. Now it is basically use this skill, gain hardened. So you can just put that on your minions, and then you've always got hardened on your character, which is fantastic. Some other stuff there, but let's go down to the hero trait adjustments for Boom Moto. There's a lot of changes, but I just want to cover off on this because this is going to be my league starter. It probably won't be anywhere near as strong as Thea 3, but this is what I want to play. So, fuel war with war. Always attempt to trigger. This is the free. That is at level 75. Maybe that should be down the bottom. But the big one here, base traits, remove synthetic troops, have 0.02% self-destruct damage for every 1 max life or energy shield. That basically means to get the 20%, you would need 10,000 max life on your minions. Whereas now it has been changed to a flat 20%. So as soon as you get this in the campaign, you can just hit F and bosses explode because you are getting 20% additional self-destruct damage. So it feels really, really nice. I just need to have a quick look and see if another change is in the patch notes. It is not, so I won't talk about it. And so, yeah, so the more that you can activate minions and stuff, the better. At level 75, you get that for free. Generally, you would go with the... what are they called? Anyway, the magic ones, because they automatically trigger themselves and resummon. So if you have this going, then you can always just be triggering it by itself. So you're not locked into the magic enemies. And that's really good because you won't have to get a corroded wardens early on, which is often extremely expensive. You can just go with the, the cheaper version, which is really nice. Heroic Sacrifice, change to synthetic troops, gain basically the base. So the base trait has gone to Heroic Sacrifice. And I think Heroic Sacrifice, they've just switched around, which is fine. That's more late game. That's more boost early on, which should be really quite nice. Then it just goes through Kismet's stuff. Hopefully they drop more in the maps. Autocast abilities have been nerfed a little bit to promote self-casting. That's where the new additional supports came from as well. Some bug fixes, some drop changes, div slates, and legendary wedges and stuff. They will drop more often. Hopefully they won't be 50 FE each early on, and they can be a more reasonable price. Fluorescent memories had a change as well. It's interesting that something I never considered. When a fluorescent memory drops out of a loot pool, say a compass or an ember can't drop, so they have nerfed the amount of fluorescent memories that can drop to enable other drop items to be able to drop instead, which is a very nice change in my opinion. Sorry Kong users, Kong's too strong anyway. He'll probably still be too strong, but it is what it is. There has been a buff to Time Mark 8 monsters with 100% extra life for them. So it should be a little bit more obvious when you're going from Time Mark 7.2 to 8.0. Hopefully the loot increases as well. This is pretty cool. So to enrich the drop experience in Netherrealm stages, defeating native Netherrealm monsters at Time Mark 7 and above will have a small chance to drop fate items. Defeating native Netherrealm monsters at Time Mark 8 and above will also have a chance to drop precious activation mediums, noble and magnificent skills up to tier 2. So it's saying up to tier 2 because the tier 1 and 0s, if they all dropped in maps, there would be no point going to canvas. So now you'll be able to get some in maps up to tier 2. Tier 1 and 0 will still be from canvas itself. Level 21 active skill stones, and I think it was shown in the reveal, precise seal conversion and stuff will come from, I believe, Voidlands, so you'll be able to farm them from there instead of Path of the Brave as well. So Path of the Brave keys probably be a bit cheaper this season. Going down, there are more compasses to choose from, less epic versions that should be cheaper. God of Machines talent constellation, the star talent that affects God of Machines health is changed to affect the damage received by the monsters instead. God of Might change, basically the same thing. Cube has been buffed, which is really nice. So now you can get Desire Cores dropping from the Cube. The Cube activation speed has been increased, and you can get Divinity packs from the from Time Mark 8 from Cube. So Divinity packs used to just come from what's that 4-key Divinity thing that I honestly have never done a single time because it's always been too expensive. Basically, the God of Machines key was always too expensive, which is crazy. Nightmare had a bit of a change. Lightning, Sweet Dream Lightning was too powerful, so that's been nerfed again. Was too powerful for map clearing. Basically, you didn't need skills to clear the map if you got a lightning. Was good for me because I suck, but bad for the game. When Netherrealm stages are in Sweet Dream, there's a 10% chance to obtain lightning by defeating Wanderers. This has been changed to, in Netherrealm stages, choosing a Dream Omen gives a 40% chance to turn all Nightmare Omens into plus 20% drop quantity. The same thing, choosing Dream Omen gives a 40% chance to turn all Nightmare Omens into 40% additional drop quantity. That has been nerfed into a 40% chance to give 20% additional drop quantity. So basically, they've removed the lightning and split the old one here into 2 nodes instead. So I guess you'll still have the same drop quantity. It'll just require a little bit more investment that you probably wouldn't have done previously for that. They've normalized the drops for Clockwork, Destiny system, more fates will drop, hopefully. They were super expensive last season. Hopefully they're under 10k each this season. Kismets, more drops. The changes to fluorescent memories. There's a typo here. This should say random fossils, not just sacred fossils. Because there is truth fossils now instead of truth embers. I don't know why you would remove truth embers from there, but probably just for this reason, to be honest. Character changes, some stuff there. Lowered the difficulty of treasure troves in the campaign, so you can easily just go in there, get your XP and leave, and the drops and stuff. Supreme Showdown rotation, team up now has controller support. A few extra things have controller support, which is really nice. A really bad change, in my opinion, is the Star Shards. Star Shards are now untradeable. So in last season, I did a 1000 Plane Watcher kill video. That still took me a long time. This time, if I wanted to do that, I would have to do 10 to 20,000 maps to get enough Star Shards, which sucks. But they improved the loot that the Plane Watchers give, so hopefully it balances itself out a little bit. Boss Rush in Time Arc 8 is going to be nuts because that is where you get the good legendaries from, inspiring and the gloves and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the patch notes that I'm going to cover. If you want to see a longer breakdown, make sure you check out the Embercast video where No Name, Rat, and I go through the reveal trailer and the patch notes in depth. It goes for about 2 hours, so you're more than welcome to check that out, and I strongly suggest that you do. Anywho, that's all I've got for this video. Next few videos will be on league start, currency farming, and build guides. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.